Good evening, Clemson fans, and welcome to Death Valley Live, presented by Wells Fargo. Mark Childress here with Daja Davidson. What are we, a little bit over an hour kickoff? It's a top 10 matchup in Death Valley. That doesn't happen very often. Number 1 ranked Clemson taking on number 7 Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting tonight. The rain is still holding off just for a little bit, it looks like here. But man, what an exciting night of football it should be tonight. Yeah,
it looks like it might be a weird and messy one, and it's been a really strange, season, I guess, so far. At least this afternoon, with a ton of upsets and things like that. So we're hoping all of that is out of our system and that the Tigers can take care of business this evening. All right, you need to go on Twitter right now, hashtag Death Valley Live. We do a giveaway every week. It's a signed Nike football. You absolutely want to check that out. So if you're on Facebook, if maybe you're watching us on YouTube right now, go on over to Twitter. Put a tweet out there, hashtag Death Valley Live, with a chance to win a signed Nike football. Death Valley Live is always presented by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo understands being a Tiger fan means there's no off season with a Wells Fargo Tigers debit card. You can show off your Clemson pride 24/7. Visit wellsfargo.com to learn more. Now let's take a look back at the Tigers arriving to Death Valley. That happened a little bit earlier, and I'm praying that they did not get wet when that went on as well. So always good to see him coming in, Daja.
Absolutely, yeah. It's nothing like it. I think things might be a little bit different. I'm thinking that the emotion, the air could be a little bit different tonight as the Tigers get ready for what should be a really exciting game of football tonight against the Miami Hurricanes. You talk about the fact that Clemson hasn't played, Miami in this sort of really hyped up atmosphere in a really long time. And, it is weird to hear about Miami being a top-ranked team the way that they are and coming in tonight and this being one of those games where everyone in the country is watching, all eyes on Clemson Miami tonight.
Yeah, and it's always great to see the Tigers and how much fun they have coming in. Dabo's always so fired up when he comes in and gets ready for the game. Really, I feel like sets the tone and the tempo, if you will, for what should be a fantastic ball game this evening. The Tigers will be playing as the number 1 ranked team in the country for the 18th time in their history, and most of those have come recently under Dabo. They're trying to go to 16-2 as the number 1 ranked team in the country. Daja, they've never lost a ball game as the number 1 ranked team.
I mean, it's really unbelievable.
During the regular season.
Yeah.
During the regular season,
right.
That is.
Correct. We've got a lot of teams, though, today who did lose, like LSU, the reigning national champion, lost today. We also, saw some other really strange losses in football today, and we're hoping that all of that is out of the way as our Tigers get ready to take on Miami, because we definitely don't want any of that mojo up in here in Death Valley for sure. We want all of that to stay everywhere else except for Clemson, South Carolina. Fans, if you are just tuning in with us, welcome to Death Valley Live. If you've missed us in the beginning, I am Daja Davidson, and this is Mark Childress. We are your hosts for the show today. Now let's go down to the field. We're actually taking a look here, a live look at the Clemson band right now on the field. You see some fans there as well. This is presented to you by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo bringing you closer to the Clemson Tiger action than ever before. You can see a lot of folks in their rain gear. It's going to be much needed. I think people talk about this same sort of situation, Notre Dame 5 years ago, and here we are again. People are all geared up for what should be a torrential downpour.
And the band has had quite a day, and so have the cheerleaders, Daj. I know you're a former cheerleader here at Clemson. They were out here for game day. Game day was fantastic today. That ran from 9 to 12 this morning. It was a deluge of rain.
Yeah,
earlier.
I was on social media basically perusing all day as, understanding that game day had been happening earlier today. And, man, looking at the photos of the band members, the cheerleaders, and they were soaked.
They were soaked.
I mean, literally soaked. I feel like you could grab their jackets and just, wring them out. You see them there on the hill as they're getting ready to prepare for tonight's game. What an opportunity to have the band on the hill. I think it makes such a huge difference. And when you talk about a game like tonight against Miami, this is a big stage game, all lights, all eyes on Clemson in Miami tonight. It's going to make a big difference having the band create that further fan atmosphere that I think the Tigers need in a game like this one.
The Tigers are 9-1 in rain games under Dabo. The only loss coming back in 2009 against TCU, and it rained torrentially that night here. I remember that one. So they won their last 9 games when it's rained. We remember the 2015 game against Notre Dame. I don't think we're expecting those levels of rain this evening, but it is going to get a little messy, I think.
Yeah, I think we often talk about with rain games like this, the impact that it has on the players on the offense and defensive side of the ball. We just heard from Kendall Joseph on the Tiger Tailgate show that on the defensive side of the ball, it's not as, much of a concern. He said it's like playing in the mud as a kid, just they're having fun.
Sounds
and,
like fun.
Probably throwing it up and, just really enjoying that. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think there is a little bit more concern or attention rather than concern to ball security on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that makes sense. I feel like, if I were a coach, I'd be like water hosing the ball down and in practice. And, what do you think? Do you think it plays a difference in a game like this? Clemson just prepares so much differently, I feel like, than so many other teams where maybe that's not even a concern for them.
They know how to prepare for it, and obviously they've had success with it, winning 9 of their last 10 when it did rain. I know back at that Notre Dame game in 2015, I've talked to Eric McLean about this before and some other former players. They were putting the footballs into trash cans full of water and then going and running out with it immediately and doing things like that. The big thing about the rain to me, Daja, is mistakes can really be exacerbated very quickly. If you don't plant right and you go sliding, if you fumble the football, if you tip a ball up in the air, I just think when you have the elements working against you, you've got to be even that much sharper and just make sure you don't make a mistake, something the Clemson Tigers are very good at.
No question. We are taking a live look right now down on the field as the players are getting ready to warm up. You can see them there. You've got BT Potter.
Man, he's been great this year.
Yeah, right. Lights out. This is really cool for us. If you're joining us from home watching Death Valley Live, that's the reason we've done this for you, right? To be able to take a look at things that you may miss from not being able to be here live and in the action. So we're able to bring you, thanks to Wells Fargo, a look down on the field during player warm-ups.
BT Potter, you see right there, 150-yard field goal shy of the career school record of 5. And there have been some incredible kickers that have come through Clemson. BT has also made over 100 consecutive extra points in a row, which is also a Clemson record. And he has been lights out so far this year. Special teams seems to be something that a lot of the fan base is focused on the last few years, Daja, as it can possibly be a negative. But from BT Potter kicking the football, Mr. Spires punting the football, it's been great so far this year.
Absolutely. And, I think especially in what could be potentially close or tight games,
yes.
The pressure comes on their backs, right? And, especially BT. And we could be looking at a couple of those situations tonight potentially. And so I think it's really important for us to highlight him and the entire special teams and realize what a huge portion they play in their role in tonight's win.
You were asking me about how does Clemson prepare and what happens when the football is wet and things like that. The two people that might be most important to on the field right here are the punter and the holders, right? So Will Spires, when he catches that football, if it's pouring down rain, if it is wet, he's been practicing with a wet ball all week long. In the special teams, kick returns, things like that, Daja, you really got to keep your eye on it. If the rain does start to come down and impact tonight, special teams could be the place where it impacts it the most.
No question. Again, you are taking a live look in, thanks to Wells Fargo, right down on the field, taking a look at our players as they are warming up for what should be an exciting matchup against Miami Hurricanes.
Mr. Spires, he's 6'5". Did you realize that? I was looking at the lineup this week. He doesn't feel that big on the field, but he's 6'5", man. Could have played for the basketball team as well.
I know. You can look at him, though, here, and you can see that nice size on him. 6'5" cool.
Yeah, he's been doing good stuff, and when he has had to punt the football, again, Will Spires is the guy you don't want to see on the field a lot tonight because it means that we're doing things very, very well. But when he's been out there, he's been doing great. Of course, he's a senior from Cameron, South Carolina, went to Calhoun Academy High School, and has been excellent so far this season. So Clemson, it's all 3 phases of the game that you want to be successful in. You want to have a good offensive outing. Obviously, you always want the defense to play well. Special teams has been great so far this season. I just don't feel like it gets talked about as much. And Daja, the one good news, I think, with the weird weather today, it's not near as cold as it's been the last couple of weeks. The wind has not been blowing very hard. In a game in the middle of October where you might have thought that you'd have to have a hoodie and maybe even a jacket over it because you might be down in the 50s or even in the 40s, we're still in the 60s right now. You see a lot of the fans out there in short sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. I almost feel, though, like the rain is building the anticipation and the excitement of the football game, right? So you've got this really thick kind of tension and atmosphere right now here in Death Valley. And, you know, as we get closer and closer to kickoff and that ball finally flies in the air, I think that rain will start to come. But to me, the best Clemson hype videos come from when there's a little bit of rain in it. You know what I mean? As if we couldn't have any more chill bumps from watching, fourth quarter videos and watching all the hype videos as we get ready for each week. I feel like the ones that have a little bit of rain in it just have something extra to them.
Looks absolutely beautiful on there. You see Mr. Trevor Lawrence. He has had himself a good season so far. A lot will be riding on him this evening. He has a very long streak of not throwing an interception. I'm not going to mention how many consecutive plays because we don't want to have the announcer jinx going down. That has been a subject this week, and Trevor's been great so far this year, Daja. Surgical precision has been the most important thing for him. You see 7 touchdowns, the 0 interceptions I just mentioned, 848 yards in 3 ball games so far this year. Trevor looks to increase those numbers this evening.
Talk to me a little bit, Mark, about what you think as he faces what, should be a really good Miami defense. They're solid. Miami has always been able to, I feel like, recruit really good athletes. It's about how they're able to put them together, though, and that's what's kind of been missing over the last couple years. And, this year they're looking pretty good. And so, Trevor will have to face what should be a talented team, and, his reaction to that will be interesting tonight.
It will. Miami's got a very aggressive and athletic defensive line, and he's going to have to be mindful of that. One of the things that I've really liked that I've seen about Trevor in the last couple of weeks is what he's been doing pre-snap, Daja, is he's assessing the field, he's seeing what it's in. He might be moving his running back from one side to the other to help with pass protection. He's making very specific reads of the defense pre-snap. If you're a defense, that should scare you.
Absolutely.
And he's done that in seasons past, but he's been getting a lot better at it this year. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team matchups here. This one is also presented to you by Wells Fargo. You see the numbers over here. Clemson 3-0 record on the season, 42.3 points per game, 65 first downs. You see a nice blend between rushing yards with 484 and passing yards with 948. I'm expecting that rushing yard total to go way up tonight, Daja.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see number 9 get that football tonight, and I want him to turn it on like the train that I know he is. And, I think over the past couple games that I've watched Miami that there is an opportunity for that to happen tonight, for him to break into some gaps. And, if you just give him the tiniest bit of room, he has got a, that start that's like nothing else. And if you give him that room, he's going to take it to the house.
He really is. So the Clemson numbers have been great so far this year. Miami's also been putting up some really nice numbers as well. Miami right about the same, 43.3 points per game. So technically a few more, a little bit more first downs. They've been more balanced than Clemson in overall balance between rushing and passing yards, right? They've got about 700 rushing yards, 800 passing yards, 1,500 total. Miami has had a good season so far as well. So when you look at the offensive numbers, Daja, these two teams are very evenly matched.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good game. This is one of those where I think that last week's game against Virginia was a really good tee-up for tonight's game, right? We saw a lot of bigger bodies. We had the 6'7", receivers and tight ends that we saw last week that are going to be really similar to the big-body defensive ends that we will see tonight in Miami. So I think that was a really great precursor to tonight that gives especially the young guys on this Clemson football team an opportunity to see what high-level talent looks like and see it done really effectively and understand what they're going to have to do to be able to win a ball game.
You saw the kicker for Miami there, Jose Borregales. The 5'10", 205-pound senior transfer has had a great season so far as well, kicking the football. Miami's got very good special teams. On the offensive side, quarterback Derek King has earned 2 ACC Quarterback of the Week honors so far this season. He's thrown for about 750 yards, 6 touchdowns, also no interceptions. when, I know we'll talk about keys a little bit later on, but turnovers, especially with the wet football, can play a big part of this. I know that Clemson defense is going to be looking to do it. And, of course, Miami has the turnover chain. We're hoping that does not make an appearance this evening.
Absolutely not. And hopefully, like you said, we're not going to be able to see that a ton. I think for our defense tonight, it's going to have to be putting a stop to Derek, right? Because he has the option to do both. And when he does, he's the second leading on rushing yards for the Miami team. And so I think we've got to make sure that we reduce his option to run or throw, right? If we can take away that and reduce the amount of time that they're taking off the clock, that's going to be pivotal in this game.
Miami's got a couple of really good tight ends as well. Probably one of the top tight end tandems in the country with juniors Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory. That's something that you want to keep your eye on. They like to work the middle of the field. They like to get the ball to the tight ends. And, of course, we talked about Derek King, who's the senior transfer as well, coming from Houston. Has had kind of a circular route. I'm blanking on the word right now.
Okay. We'll go with that.
He's taken a really long route to get to Miami here where he is now, and he's trying to prove himself this year. And Miami's done exactly what they've wanted to do so far this season and moved all the way up to number 7 in the rankings.
Absolutely. We're still taking a live look right here down on the field, Wells Fargo. You're taking a look here at Amari Rogers, 12 receptions, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has been absolutely lights out dominant so far this season, and I expect the same from him tonight.
Had the long TD catch on a big third down play in the first half last week against Virginia. You don't see Amari down the field stretching the field as much. You're used to seeing him get the quick slants, maybe the ball out in the flat and making moves. Turning him into a weapon that can get the ball down the field as well is very important.
Absolutely. I'm really looking for this, all of the receivers really to step up in tonight's game. I think a lot of the pressure or look will be on them outside of Travis Etienne in the run game tonight. They're going to have to make some big plays tonight.
Mr. Frank Ladson, 9 receptions, about 180 yards, a couple of touchdowns on the season. He really had his breakout game against the Citadel where he kind of announced himself and how important it would be for him to be a big part of this Clemson offense. And you talk about somebody that can stretch the field, Daja. Mr. Ladson can do it.
No question. This is one of those things where, guys have to step up and step into place. We're missing a couple guys on this in this receiver position. And so, guys like Frank Ladson Jr. and Amari Rogers have to step up to the plate and make those big plays that we need in big games like tonight's.
And here's the most important thing for number 2. He is from Miami.
Yes,
so he's played against a number of these guys. I know one of the defensive backs that might be matching up with Ladson. They played against each other in high school. So he's going to have a lot of people from his hometown having an eye on him, and he wants to be able to go back home after Clemson wins a national championship this year, of course, and brag to the folks in Miami about what he did to this Hurricanes team tonight.
Yeah, and he might be doing a little extra trash talking tonight. I don't know. I don't know him well, so I don't know if he's one of those talkers who, is at the line and is, throwing little things out there, especially because he is from Miami, or if he's more like our old friend CJ Spiller, who just doesn't say anything and just does it as far as production. It'll be interesting to see. But like you said, he's got something to show these guys tonight, and the entire state of Florida, saying, hey, I didn't stay at home. I came here to Clemson, and you guys are coming to our town tonight. I'm going to do it big.
We certainly know that Miami will bring the swag and bring the smack talking, and they really like to run their mouths, especially early in ball games. So Clemson's going to want to get off to a quick start to see if they can get that chirping down just a little bit.
Yeah, these are the antics that, Miami has been so used to. They're a really kind of boisterous and flashy team.
Yep.
And it's going to be really important, like you said, for Clemson to get out early, get that lead, and shut that noise down. Because if not, when you get that big mo on your side, or you let that crowd or, those theatrics get you out of your kind of typical mental mode, that's when things can kind of shake up. But I think these are the things that Clemson prepares them for, right? I think this is where your senior leadership really plays a role. I think we know that there's a lot of coaching that's done on the sideline, especially from those leaders, and these are the guys who are saying, hey, you may not have been here before, but we've played on the biggest of stages, especially for those young guys, and saying, hey, just do what you know how to do, play our way, and don't get caught up in all the antics that we see on the opposite side of the field.
You saw a quick shot of Joe Ngata there, the sophomore receiver. Joe's been Joe was hyped up a lot by Dabo this week, and he's been trying to. I know he had to sit out a couple of times due to some of the COVID quarantine rules. I believe that got him twice during the practice season this year, and trying to keep him healthy as well. I still think we have a massive breakout performance coming from number 10 at some point this season, and maybe that's tonight.
I would like to see it tonight. I want to see him climb a ladder and just absolutely snatch a ball out the air and take it to the end zone. It would be really, really great for that to happen in tonight's game with everyone watching across the country.
Hey, it's Mark Childress and Daja Davidson hanging out here with you on Death Valley Live. We actually moved inside of Littlejohn today because of the weather, and now it's not raining right now, but it's a fantastic setup in here, and it's kind of nice to not have to worry about the elements, because you and I were kind of curious all week whether we would be getting drenched or having rain blow in our face or something like that. So we're inside of Littlejohn right now getting you ready for tonight's matchup between the number 1 ranked Clemson Tigers and number 7 ranked Miami Hurricanes. Only the 5th time ever. This is amazing to me. Only the 5th time ever that there's been a top 10 matchup in Death Valley. It's the first one since, of course, that 2016. My favorite game that I've ever seen in Death Valley, 2016 Clemson-Louisville.
Absolutely. Fans, here is a reminder from Prisma Health to mask up. Whether you're inside Death Valley or watching the game in a public area, remember to wear your mask, be smart, and stand apart.
No doubt. So we're going to take you back inside the stadium. There he is.
Yeah, there's our guy, CJ Spiller, who has joined the Clemson football staff this year. Really, really cool to see him down on the sidelines helping coach these young men. He's a huge asset to this program. His experience and his entire just leadership and attitude is really cool to see now be a part of this program.
We have a lot of things to thank C.J. Spiller for in his career, but C.J. was also a mentor to Travis Etienne in the offseason when Travis was trying to make the decision, do I stay or do I go? And, of course, famously, C.J. came back to hang out with Dabo for one more season, and they went all the way to the ACC championship game that year. So he came back for his senior year. That paid off with a high draft pick in the NFL by the Buffalo Bills. Travis Etienne hoping to do some of the same things, and there's Coach Dabo. He had a sweatshirt on this week. He's got all kinds of, last week, excuse me, he's got all kinds of layers on this week. Looks good, though.
He doesn't have his face shield. He put on the mask this week. He's been wearing the face shield glasses over the past couple games, and, it's different to see him here with just the Tiger Paw mask there. You talk about CJ Spiller and his decision to come back to Clemson for one more year, wanted to get his degree. He talked, about that as well with Travis Etienne, who made that same decision. This is the man who made that important, who said, we want to graduate our guys, and man, have they done that. It is a priority, education is within this program, and they keep that first and foremost, that they want to graduate their seniors and send them into this world, whether that's to continue to play football or enter into the business world as prepared men, and this program undoubtedly does that.
Travis Etienne right there, a little bit under 40 carries, a little bit under 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Of course, he's done a lot of damage receiving the football this year as well. I get the feeling, look at that. The graphics folks all over. I just mentioned Travis and his receiving.
You are like magic.
The graphics folks pop it right up there. 5 receptions, 114 yards. That's a Clemson record for a running back. He broke C.J. Spiller's record for that. Most receiving yards by a running back in Clemson history. So Travis is doing it every possible way so far this year.
Yeah, you are watching a living legend right there. He has already, like you mentioned, broken so many records that were, previously held, a lot of them by C.J. Spiller, and he's just continuing to, to break those as this season continues. But again, a living legend. We are just watching history be made each and every time we watch him hit the field.
And of course, ESPN Game Day was here today, and if you missed it, there was an incredible piece on Travis Etienne. I think they called him a silent assassin in there at some point, that he doesn't really talk about or think about the records. He just wants to run the football. And again, he's getting incredible coaching this season from C.J. Spiller. Man, I would love to sit in the running back room with C.J. Spiller talking to Travis Etienne about how they're going to do damage on the football field. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, all led by the mastermind, who I like to call the mad scientist, Tony Elliott, in that room there. Like you said, what a room. What a position room there that you have with C.J. Spiller, Tony Elliott, and Travis Etienne, and all the other running backs who are in that room. That is, a really cool opportunity to learn from those men. And, Tony Elliott and C.J. C.J. Spiller together, that's like, some kind of crazy secret sauce that you could have never dreamed up before. And here we are. We have this incredible duo together.
It really is. And another incredible duo, of course, is Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. I think by the time we get to the end of this football season, Daja, they will be starting to be talked about as one of the best duos in the history of college football. The numbers that they're putting up, the consistency. Trevor Lawrence has only lost one football game in 2 seasons. If he could run the table again this year, you'd have to consider him one of the best college football quarterbacks of all time. Travis Etienne is storming up the overall rushing list in both the ACC. He's got a chance to be the all-time ACC leading rusher, one of the top rushers in the history of college football. He can be one of the top 2 or 3 touchdown scorers from the running back position in the history of college football. It's truly amazing things that are going on right now. And as they said in that game day piece earlier today, they're just not talking about him all that much on the national stage. He's just quietly going about his business. But I think that's going to change for both him and Trevor Lawrence over the course of this season.
Yeah, and the numbers will speak for themselves. We talk and you talk week after week about the statistics of Clemson, the individual players like Trevor Lawrence, like Travis Etienne. And, when it's all said and done and everyone looks at those stats and they look at those numbers, and you just can't deny them. You can't deny numbers. We are absolutely looking at one of the greatest duos to ever do it, to ever play in Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I'm going to give you a little trivia question here as we're going to move along.
I missed it last week.
We are going to do a little trivia brought to you by First Citizens. Mark, when was the last time Clemson hosted a top 10 matchup?
I know this one. It is the 2016 game. We talked about this earlier.
We
It's
did.
the 2016 game against Louisville.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you remember that game?
Of course I remember that. That is my favorite
question.
game that I've been coming to Clemson games for about 22 years or so here. Haven't hardly missed a one here in Death Valley, and even before that I caught a lot of them. That is my favorite game that I've seen in Death Valley.
Absolutely. You talk about an incredible quarterback in Lamar Jackson who is just lighting up the NFL right now. That was a very exciting game to watch back in 2016 as Clemson beat number 3 Louisville 42-36. It was an absolutely incredible game here in Death Valley.
And if you remember in that one, Louisville was favored in that game. That's the difference in that matchup and this one. I mean, Clemson is a 2-touchdown favorite against Miami today. Louisville was actually favored in that ball game against the Tigers after Lamar burst onto the scene and had such an amazing start that he had. There was another pretty good quarterback in that 2016 game.
What was his name?
Deshaun Watson. That's right.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one who is having an incredible year with the Houston Texans. A huge deal that he landed earlier this year. Is that earlier this year? Yeah.
One of the highest paid players in the history.
Deal. Absolutely massive deal that he landed this year. Incredible quarterback, both in the NFL and at Clemson. And you talk about another history maker from Clemson. Deshaun Watson, unquestionably, is one of those.
No doubt, and statistically outplayed Lamar that day, and of course, famously, Louisville coming up just 1 yard short of that first down with about 45 seconds left in that ball. Just an amazing football game. It was like a movie script. Like if you could write a movie, hey, we want to have this amazing game that ends in this incredible fashion, I would put the Louisville game in Death Valley up at the very top of that list, maybe with that 2015 game against Notre Dame with a 2-point conversion stop there as well. Again, Mark Childress and Daja Dial hanging out with you here on Death Valley Live. Let's talk about the starting lineups for today's ball game. And the Tigers haven't had to change too many things around on the offensive line so far, and they've been pretty good so far this season, led, of course, by the all-world left tackle Jackson Carman. You've got Bachor, Stewart, Putnam, and McFadden across the board. Braden Galloway I expect to see a lot from today. And, of course, you've got Ladson, Rogers, and Powell at the wide receiver position, and Trevor and Travis at quarterback and running back. A very powerful offense for the Tigers. On the defensive side of the ball, KJ Henry is getting a start for the Tigers. Tyler Davis is supposed to be back and 100% healthy at defensive tackle this week. That's very important. And then look at the 2 freshmen. Brian Bressee's getting the start again. Miles Murphy getting his first start as a Clemson Tiger is going to be very important. Jones, Skalski, and Spector at the linebacker position. They're going to be tested today by Derek King. We had talked about that a little bit earlier, the mobile quarterback from Miami. And you've got Kendrick, Sanders, Turner, and Jones in the secondary. One thing about Sheridan Jones, First of all, Clemson's social media is unbelievable. They put out great stuff all week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it this week. They had the 3.0 dinner, so all the Tigers that had gotten the 3.0 or above. They also did a spelling bee as part of that. Sheridan Jones won it for the second straight year. He's only been here 2 years. He's two-time Clemson football spelling bee champ. And listen, he was kind of talking some smack about it. He's like, I'm going to win the next two also. I'm running this down.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, of course, special teams. We have B.T. Potter, who we took a look at earlier down live on the field, as well as Will Sweeney. We've also took a look at Will Spires and Jack Maddox as well. Special teams, of course, playing a really important part in tonight's game as well.
Yeah, you never want to hear Jack Maddox or Will Sweeney's name, at least Will, when he's holding the football during the game, because that means something's gone wrong with the snap or something like that. Those guys have been doing a tremendous job so far this season as the Tigers continue in their pregame festivities.
You know, you talk about Miles Murphy getting his first start tonight. No question that I expected him to be so hyped up about this start that he should just come out guns blazing, just absolutely smoking. And I just want to see him just lights out tonight. I just want to see him just turn up and really be more explosive than we've already seen him be.
Well, the defensive line has been fantastic so far this season, but you've got to remember, Daja, Murphy and Brissy are freshmen.
I know.
And then you've got Henry and Davis, the other two starters. They're sophomores. It's a very young line. We have not seen a ton from the Miami offensive line. Miami's offensive line this week is not near as good as Virginia's offensive line was last week. They're also not as big. I think they can make some impressive things happen tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we'll get a chance to see them turn it up a little bit, turn it up another level. I think that, you know, even though Clemson looks at each week the same, they kind of attack the formality of the week the same way, and they go into each opponent with the same format. There's no question that there's a different air in that stadium tonight, and if it's from the fans, it's from the media, which I know they try to protect and keep the players from, but you just have to know when there's a hype game and there's a big stage game, and you know that you've got to show up, and tonight's the night, and these guys are going to, I think, take it to another level. Some of them are boiling on the inside, just absolutely ready to burst at the seams, and we should see some really big playmakers make really big plays tonight.
The best thing that I've seen so far tonight is what I haven't seen, Dodge. So we don't have any rain yet, and I think we're still expecting it over the course of the game.
Yeah.
It's been something we've been preparing for all week long, really, to be honest with you. It was pouring down rain through a good portion of game day earlier today. Maybe it can stay like this for the remainder of the evening. It'd be great for the football, you know, players. It'd also be really great for the fans, who I know don't want to get soaked and have to drive home in the rain. So hopefully the rain can continue to hold off, because right now the conditions are perfect. Again, it's not very cold. The wind's not blowing hard. And if it doesn't rain, it'd be a perfect night for football.
No question. Again, we are taking a live look right now out on the field. This is brought to you by Wells Fargo. You know, this is really cool for you all who are at home to be able to take a look at what's happening on the field. And that's what Death Valley Live is here to do. Again, I'm Daja, joined by Mark Childress. We're your host for Death Valley Live, and this is a live look down on the field presented by Wells Fargo. We are heading into one of the most exciting moments outside of the team running down the hill. The players are lining up. They're gathering together. Fans, it is time for the Walk of Champions.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, look how hyped they are. Are you kidding me? There's like there might be music playing in there, but I just feel like there's a song in each of their head, and they're just like, look, I mean, come on, that would be me.
Yeah, absolutely. Dabo's getting right in the middle, is going to kick things off as the Tigers walk together arm in arm into the end zone. Walk of Champions, two-time national champions just over the course of the last few years, looking for number 3 in the Dabo era this season.
I love to see it. Oh, I love to see it. It gives me chill bumps when you just can see how hyped they are, and they finish walking arm in arm into the end zone and run to their respective positions and get ready for tonight's game. I just love seeing people be hyped, and I want to see some dogs out there on that field tonight. You know, that's something you can't teach. Each guy who has that dog in him just knows when it's time to come out, and tonight it's time to bring the dogs out.
You know, you mentioned earlier about being hyped up and things like that. With these young guys, you don't want to be too overhyped, right?
No.
And they have had a couple of night games already. Of course, they played on the road at Wake Forest at night on national television. They had the national spotlight on them against Virginia last Saturday night. This is easily the biggest game of the year. This will bring the biggest audience of the year. So you want to be hyped, Daja, but you've also got to temper yourself a little bit and not come out too juiced up.
Yeah, and that was one of my keys to the game that I talked about earlier, was controlling those emotions. I think you've got to have enough of confidence and boost yourself up enough to the point where you're able to perform without getting, like you said, overly excited or overly hyped, and you can't focus on the task at hand. So there is that nice medium between being excited and trying to go overboard with it or kind of acting outside of your character. I think these guys still have to play and perform the way that they do week in and week out with the level of intensity that is required for a game like this one.
Yeah, we saw a really quick shot there of Coach Venables when you were talking about eagerness and intensity. I don't think that was by accident, right? Coach V, he's going to have his work cut out for him tonight. He's got to shut down a high-powered Miami offense led by the quarterback, Derek King, who has the ability to beat you through the air and beat you on the ground as well. Now, we've been hearing all week, you mentioned it earlier, we've talked about this a little bit, the comparisons to Lamar Jackson. Derek King is shorter than Lamar Jackson, not near as quick or explosive. I don't think there's a human being on the planet. We see Derek King right there that is as quick as Lamar Jackson is. But at this point in his career, he's probably a better passer of the football than Lamar Jackson was at that point in his career. So you've got to be very, very careful to keep him contained and make sure that he doesn't beat you with the big plays. That's what Miami's been doing this season. They busted a few huge plays against Louisville. They blew out Florida State with big play after big play. Just keeping him contained and making him have to do a bunch of long drives is very important for Brent Venables' defense tonight. Yeah,
no question. And even though we're not 80,000 strong tonight, I think our 19,000 fans understand what role they play as a 12th man in tonight's ball game, and I think they will be absolutely fired up and hopefully be able to be a part of shaking him up and shaking him off his game, make him be uncomfortable with the amount of noise that's going to be in Death Valley tonight. I think that does play a role. The fans are a huge part of how the momentum flows throughout a game, and I think we've got to make sure that Derek King doesn't get comfortable in tonight's football game and keep him on his toes. Like you said, force him into the air. Don't allow him to get enough room to make those runs, because we know that when given the option, just with a little bit of room, he can make a play happen.
They can. Again, thanks for hanging out with us. We're doing a live look inside the stadium. We do this for every home game for Death Valley Live. I guess this is our third one doing this with you this season. We'll have 3 more later on this season. Kind of an interesting month of October. We have 4 home games in 5 weeks in October, so there'll be a lot of Death Valley Live for you. So for you folks that can't make it here for whatever reasons, whether it's COVID related, whether you took a red shirt this season, we'll be doing this every game day, I guess, on Saturday for the hour leading up to the game, and we'll take you right up to the Tigers running down the hill. So it's a great pregame tradition that you can start this year if you can't be here with us in the stadium to enjoy the Clemson Tigers ball game tonight.
Yeah, and make sure you share it. Share this on your Facebook pages. Let your friends know, because having only 19,000 fans in the stadium, we know that there are a lot of you who are at home. And so if you've been tuning in with us week to week to watch Death Valley Live, to be able to get that game day experience and check out some of the things that you're missing from being at home, you have friends who are in the same situation. Yes. So make sure you share this across your social media channels and let all your friends and family know that this is an option for them to be included in the game day festivities. We're taking another look back down on the field as the guys get ready. We're just about 20 minutes shy from getting things started in tonight's game. Miami versus the Clemson Tigers. This will be a really exciting top 10 matchup.
Yeah, a lot of big games in the country today, a lot of big upsets today, but no game bigger than this one with 2 top 10 teams playing under the lights in Death Valley. You see the offensive line, defensive line scrapping it out a little bit as they start to get ready for the ball game this evening. Again, a top 10 matchup in Death Valley has only happened 5 times. A couple of interesting stats that I tracked down this week. Clemson is 16-8 when College game day is at the game, including 12 of their last 13. So we kind of get spoiled. I remember back in the day, Daja, I think it was 2006 when College game day showed up for us to play Georgia Tech, and it was the biggest thing that had ever happened. I felt like in Clemson football history almost at that point. Now it's like, oh, I got College game day coming in again. I guess we'll win. We've won 12 of the last 13 with them in town.
2006. I was maybe
Don't tell me.
Okay, I won't say.
Yeah, don't tell me if you were in high school. Middle school. Goodness me. Yes.
I was in middle school, Mark, back in 2006. But what an exciting game this will be. We've the Hurricanes here in Death Valley. They're going to have a big test tonight. Yeah, we're talking about them being here in Death Valley. We're talking about what they're bringing. What they're bringing is this running back right here, number 23. We're taking a look at him, and, he's going to have to get going tonight. We are going to have to stop this. We've got to put a stop to the run game, limit their ability to take time off the clock. He's been really effective for Miami so far this season, and it'll be up to our defense to make sure that he doesn't keep rolling through tonight. Yeah,
Camron Harris, you can't sleep on him. He leads the Canes with 311 yards rushing on 38 carries. So actually leading statistically Travis Etienne so far in the rushing category. Not quite as popular through the air for them, but he's another weapon. I mean, you mentioned having some dogs. I mean, Miami always has great athletes. They've got some fantastic ones on the defensive line. They've got a couple of great tight ends on their team. And then King and Harris in the backfield. You can blink very quickly, and those guys are off to the races. You got to be very careful with them both.
No question. I think one thing, though, that separates the athletes like what Miami has in Clemson is the poise and posture, right? Especially in games like this. We talked about that dynamic duo between Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, both really similar to me in their poise and posture as they enter really each and every game, but especially games like this one, again, where you have to control emotions, where you've got a team on the opposite side of the field who is very theatrical. They've got, the turnover chain and all of these things, and it's really important for leadership like Travis, like Etienne, to help manage and control those emotions.
Yeah, you couldn't probably find two more contrasting styles than the celebration and swag of Miami and the more mellow, laid-back side of Clemson. Now, I know Clemson will get out there and run their mouth sometimes if they have to, and Miami will quickly stop running theirs if Clemson can deliver on that. All right, one of my favorite things to do other than be here on a Saturday is to sit down and watch a lot of NFL games on Sunday, because there are Tigers everywhere in the pros right now that are delivering in style. A couple of the highlights from this past week: Deshaun Watson struggling with his Houston Texans coaching situation. They dumped Bill O'Brien this week. It's been a weird start for the team so far this season, but Deshaun, 20 of 33, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns this past week. Hunter Renfrow, you're seeing Renfrow catch 4 or 5 balls every week now. He had 5 receptions for 57 yards. He's becoming a very big part of that Raiders offense. Shaq Lawson, 2 tackles and a solo and a sack last week. T. Higgins had 77 yards. The week before that, he had 2 touchdowns. His first 2 touchdowns ever as Cincinnati Bengal. B.J. Goodson, a great week last week as well. 7 tackles, 5 solos. Again, you're hard-pressed, Daja, to find any NFL game going on a Sunday without multiple Tigers that are playing and putting up numbers in it.
Yeah, and you talk about NFL-level talent. We're taking a look right there at James Skalski, who is getting things fired up down there on the field with those guys. That's, again, the leadership that I talk about that's on this team. And, there's no question that even though we play really poised and have a really strong posture, there is that fire that's out there on that team. And the leader right there, Coach Dabo Sweeney, has that same energy. You can see him there, speaking those words of wisdom, speaking that fire into them right before we're about to start this ball game. It's no question that all of that energy, all of that fire stems directly from him.
Doing a great job. Man, I wish I was down on the field
I know,
now.
right?
Can we secretly mic up Dabo for Death Valley Live one week and just hear what he's chatting about? So the Tigers raise their helmet as they're getting much closer to kickoff here. Kickoff's going to be right around 7:44 this evening, so we'll be going a little bit longer than we normally do on Death Valley, but it means we get to hang out. I get to hang out more with you, Daja, which is great. And we get to hype up the game even more as the Tigers appear headed to the locker room to start and get ready for tonight's matchup. A couple of interesting things. Clemson all-time in this series against Miami, they're only 5-6 against Miami. It's pretty hard to find teams that Clemson doesn't have a 500 or better record than that they played in their history. Miami is one of those. Clemson has never won a game against Miami here in Death Valley either. We're 0-2 here, so these are some of the stats that Dabo's throwing out in the locker room. Here's a chance to do something no one has ever done at Clemson. Beat Miami in our house. He's going to be bringing that up today.
Absolutely. Game day was here earlier, bringing and starting off the night. Let's take a look back at this morning's show inside of Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, it looks great. Obviously, those guys here today, they were dry. The Clemson band and cheerleaders were not. And they did a great job today. It's pretty rare, with all the stuff we do, with the broadcasting stuff we do on game days, that I can actually sit down and watch game day. But I watched a good chunk of it today. They had a great piece on Trevor Lawrence. He just turned 21 this past week, so he's officially an adult. And Travis Etienne, the silent assassin, I think is what they called him a couple of times, had about a 4-minute piece on him with a lot of players and coaches and things like that, singing his praises as they should. So game day does a lot of things really well. I think the packages that they do on the players that are participating in each week are absolutely top-notch, and they had a couple of other good ones today on the Tigers.
Yeah, and even before COVID-19 was a thing, game day played such a huge role in jumping off, college football Saturdays, but I think even more so now in the midst of this pandemic, when we do have so many fans who are watching from home, who aren't tailgating in the parking lots across college campus around the nation, so they are able to really play a big role in starting people's college football Saturdays off really, really well. And then, things like the Tiger Tailgate Show and Death Valley Live help continue that on, specifically for our Clemson Tigers, right on up to kickoff.
See the Miami Hurricanes making their way into the locker room as well. We're under 30 minutes now from kickoff between the top-ranked Clemson Tigers and the number 7 ranked Miami Hurricanes. Clemson will be playing its 18th game all time while ranked number 1 in the AP poll. They're attempting to move to 16-2 when they've been ranked number 1. And again, they've never lost a regular season game as the top ranked team in the country, hoping to continue that streak tonight.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of keys that play a big, play a big role in tonight's game, and right now one of those has yet to appear, and that is the rain.
Yes.
We're still holding off. You're taking a look there, just took a look at beautiful Death Valley that still has no rainfall quite yet, but we for sure will expect to see some of that, and and it may or may not play a big role in tonight's football game, but it's always something that I think on the fan side of things that we wonder, will it affect ball security on the offensive side of the ball? How would the defense be able to handle that, understanding its role in their slip of their feet or, whatever it may be. So that hasn't quite started yet, but one thing that has started is the music is rolling in Death Valley with DJ Shea. That's one thing that Clemson doesn't play about. They don't play about their music. They always have a playlist that gets their guys ready, and that guy right there, DJ Shea, always keeps the stadium rocking and rolling.
I would love to be cool enough to be on the ones and the twos like DJ Shea down there.
The ones and the twos,
he's tearing it up. I'm going way back. Again, we're separating our ages here. But,
I think if your daughter heard you say the
did.
ones and the twos, she's probably somewhere cringing.
That's
Mark.
okay. Sorry, McCain.
I love it. The air is feeling beautiful tonight. We've got great atmosphere. I talked about one of the keys to the game could potentially be the rain. Other keys for me are going to be that we're going to have to display some depth, specifically at that receiver position. Let's get Braden Galloway really back involved in this football game. And, of course, Amari Rogers and the wide receivers on this football team are going to really have to display that depth in those positions. I think we've got to apply the pressure on defense. We've got to make Derek King absolutely feel uncomfortable. Pass rush has to be A1 tonight. And then again, I've talked about it all show long, controlling emotions, because this is a big stage game. This is really hyped up. Everyone across the country is watching this top 10 matchup tonight between the Clemson Tigers and the Miami Hurricanes. And I think, again, it's up to our senior leadership to help manage that, especially to the younger guys who are making some of their first starts tonight, who are making some of their first plays in big games like this one.
I think those are some great keys. Of course, keys to the game always brought to you by Carolina Ford dealers. Mine contain Derek King. We've talked about that ad nauseum, I think. Win the turnover battle, I think, is always an important thing. The Tigers usually win the turnover battle. They struggled with that a little bit late in the year last year and early in this season, so winning the turnover battle is important tonight. I also think getting off to a fast start. The last 2 times that Clemson has played Miami, they got off to unbelievably fast starts. They got up a couple of scores early, and you saw at the time 2 Miami teams with a lot of swagger start questioning themselves, and then things started snowballing and got out of control quickly. A 58-0 bloodletting down in Miami, and then of course I think it was a 37-3 final in the ACC championship game a couple of years. I think, Daja, if Clemson could jump Miami early and start putting a lot of pressure on them, this game could get out of hand.
Yeah, and that's really for me one of the keys of the game. pretty much every single week. But like you said, especially tonight, because I think when they're able to do that, our offense really settles in really nicely. It kind of takes all of the emotion down to a really calm level, and they play their form of football. And I think if we can, like you said, jump out and get that start early tonight, then that chemistry in our offense will be able to really click and start rolling, and they'll be able to settle into what should be a smooth sail onto a win.
Now, obviously, a couple of weeks ago against the Citadel, just got off to the fastest start possible, right? They scored 6 times in a row.
You wish we could do that, like, every week, but
yes, 6 straight TDs.
We won't be greedy.
And a defensive TD to get there. Didn't start that quick against Wake Forest. If you remember the game against Virginia last week, they didn't get their first touchdown until about 10 seconds left in the first quarter.
Right.
It was really the second quarter and the third quarter where they did almost all the damage for the entire game against Virginia. I just think getting that football early, going right down there and scoring a touchdown, if you can start putting some pressure on Miami and making them have to force the issue, that could lead to some really big things for the Tigers tonight.
Yeah, and if I had to throw in another key to the game, if they don't get out to a fast start, like you mentioned last week's game against Virginia, it's about being able to make the adjustments necessary after that's happened.
Yep.
To, again, control your emotions, keep yourself calm, keep that poise and that posture, and say, okay, let's take a look at what's happening here. Let's make the necessary adjustments, and then let's start rolling. As we saw again last week, once that second quarter began, we really settled into who we are as a football team, and things really took off. So if that doesn't happen tonight against Miami and we aren't able to get that early start that we hope they're able to get, then I hope that they're able to make the adjustments necessary to be able to start rolling through this football game.
Well, we always like to hear from Coach Dabo Sweeney, of course. So let's go on over and send it over. Tim Beret caught up with Dabo earlier in the week to talk about tonight's ball game. This presented, as always, by Prisma Health.
Well, thank you. All right, as we talk with Coach Sweeney, I want to go back and touch a little bit on Virginia before we talk about Miami, if you don't mind. Look at the Virginia game, first and foremost, 41 points on the board. I think you had to be pretty satisfied with what you saw offensively.
Yeah, we just missed some plays. I mean, we sputtered. I think we had a couple 3-and-outs. I was pretty disappointed with right before the half. But we played them a lot better than we did last year. I know we scored more points last year, but I was really pleased with how we played up front. Communication, physical, we target them. Their style of play, they're going to always have a guy extra hat, whether it be a corner or a safety, but they give you a lot of space. So it was a space game for us, and that's what happened. It was yards after the catch, yards after contact, and that's why Travis had 100-something yards receiving. But we did a lot of good things, really good in third down. We were explosive. But we just missed a few plays, just a few, fell down, missed an easy throw, had a big drop, couple drops. So I felt like we should have been in the 50s. We left some points out there. And then on the flip side, defensively, they scored 23. I felt like they probably should have had 14. We gave up a really bad touchdown before the half that we don't ever do. That was about as bad a series, 3 plays they scored, as I've seen us have in a long time defensively. And, missed some tackles and things. But, again, it was 2 good teams. Virginia's a good team. They're incredibly well coached. And so it was our first adversity, and it was good to see us respond, like we needed to. Continue to do good things in the special teams, a couple, good returns, good kicks. So it was a really good game for us and a good win.
You mentioned Etienne's 114 yards receiving. He breaks a record held by C.J. Spiller when he did that. Is that maybe the most improvement that you have seen in him? Do you think about where he was when he first came here, just catching the football coming out, and where he is now? It is night and day.
Yeah, it's a reminder that it's a developmental game and guys get better, and very few guys walk in here as finished products. It wasn't that he couldn't catch or protect. He just never been asked to do it, and it wasn't natural to him because of that. He played in a option wing tee type of deal. They didn't throw the ball. He never caught passes, and so it was a struggle for him early. Route running, just ball skills, certainly pass protection, all those things. The running part came easy for him. And so it's something he's really worked on, and he really, last year, that was an area that he put a lot of emphasis on. And you saw, especially as the season went, some of his biggest plays were passes. The game winner against Ohio State was a pass play, yards after the catch. So he's become a real weapon. He's become a complete player, and that was one of the things that I think he wanted to build on in coming back this year was to be a first, second, and third down player, not just be a guy that they don't see as a factor. He wants to be a McCaffrey, a guy that can play any down, that you can split out, and you just get him the ball in space, and he can do amazing things, and that's what makes him so special. So I'm really proud of him, and it gives us 3rd and 16. And literally before the play, that was exactly what I told Trevor. I said, based on what we'd seen on film study, they're gonna drop. And I said, so just be patient, let them drop, get the ball to Travis, and we're gonna run for it. And if we don't get it, hey, we'll put something on the punt here. And he went for 20 yards or something. So he's just so puts a lot of pressure on the defense when you have a back that can catch the ball, that understands the passing game, and then can do something with it after the catch. And so he's become a truly complete back in every regard.
Then behind him, Len J. Dixon made influence on the game on the opening kick return. Ches Malusi comes in, gives you some good minutes. Ches has been a guy I know it's been battling just to get back. He has a touchdown.
Yeah, Ches is a guy we have a lot of hopes for, and got a little experience last year. But this year, with more opportunity for him, it's been good. But then he gets hurt. He missed pretty much all of camp. He really didn't get back till game week of Wake Forest. So being able to get him going is good. He's going to be a good player. And same thing, with Mikey Dukes and Kobe. Whenever we can get the opportunity to get them in there, but I like where we are from a back standpoint, and just continue to develop that depth.
Lastly, on Virginia, you win the turnover margin with the 2 interceptions. First time we've done that this year. And obviously the play by Booth is just a highlight reel play.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Good to see him, make a play like that, because again, that just his confidence just goes up and up and up from there. And he'll continue to improve. I'm really proud of him. All those guys at corner are doing a nice job for us. And, hopefully we can continue to develop that type of quality depth that we need to consistently perform.
Lastly, don't often mention a kicker, but the way that BT has been performing so far through kickoffs, he's 15 of 16 touchbacks. Perfect on field goals, and they haven't been short field goals either. He's shown plenty of leg. The way that BT has grown up for you, again, if I have to go back and equate it, it's kind of the way that Catman kind of grew up from his sophomore to his junior year.
Yeah, he's just, he's gotten maturity, experience, mental toughness. He's got some scars, he's got some battle wounds. And, usually when you have some scars and some battle wounds, you learn. And so he's just a much more confident, kind of know what, been through it, a few times, and just mentally more prepared. I tell our guys, hey, y'all just put him in some bubble wrap. Don't say anything to him. Leave him alone. He's doing awesome, man. I'm super proud of him. I mean, so consistent.
All the best to you.
Appreciate it. Look forward to it.
It's always really cool to catch up with Coach Sweeney and get inside of his head, see what he thinks, about his program overall. But, here we're talking specifically about Travis Etienne, about the running backs and the depth at that position. We're going to take it back inside of Memorial Stadium. You're taking a look here. You see some of the band members. The band is getting ready in Death Valley. They're ready to go. Let's take a live look at their pregame performance in Memorial Stadium.
So last week, Amari came up to me at dinner as he was grabbing his food and was like, hey, the best meal that y'all do is when you do Chinese food, like the General Tso's chicken and beef and broccoli, so can we have that? And I was like, yeah, you tell me the day. Making sure that their requests are heard really helps them know that we're here for them. We'll find a way to make it a little bit healthier, but something that they're still gonna wanna eat. So it really takes everybody on staff, especially when we have a service before. So we had our afternoon snack beforehand, which is a production in itself. So the fact that we're trying to accomplish that and a box meal, it's a lot of work. So it definitely takes all 15 of us that are on staff every little thing we have to think about. It's not just making sure that we have the chicken, it's making sure that we have the chicken, the seasoning that goes on the chicken, the breading for the chicken, it's making sure that we have the bags to put it in, making sure we have napkins and the boxes to put it in. That's kind of the beforehand, making sure we have all the ingredients, everything to put it in. One of the first things that we did was get the fried rice out of the way, and that actually started the day before. The best way to get fried rice is to cook the rice the day before and then cool the rice, and then you can actually get like the crispy part of it. After that, we started breading the chicken tenders because it's best for those to sit in the fridge for at least an hour to 2 hours. That's really how you get the best crisp on the chicken. Slice the beef that had already been grilled off earlier that morning to make sure that we get the nice consistency. Stir fry is all about having everything in place and just being ready to cook. As we're starting to put the boxes together, that's actually when we start the vegetables so that it's not mushy or soggy or anything like that. Making sure that these guys get what they ask for is, one of the most important things that we do here, because food is something that, first of all, everybody has an opinion about, whether that's good or bad. But we know that if this was a request from a teammate, then this is probably what a good majority of the team is looking for. So we want to make sure we're listening to everybody. And it's a lot of work and it's a long day, but you know what? They have long days too, so we just got to make sure we keep up with them and make sure that they eat at the end of the day. And the only way to do that is to make sure we're giving them what they ask for.
That was the Founders All Access video of the week that took us on the inside of Clemson's football kitchen.
Hey guys, we haven't had dinner yet because we've been working for like the last 3 hours. Can we not do a bunch of food packages right before kickoff? You're killing it. That looked delicious. I want some stir fry. We can plop some down right here. That would be good stuff. Well, hey, if you did not know, this year is the 125th year of Clemson football, and it's presented by Lending Tree. We are honoring that in a lot of special ways. So one of those ways is you can be a part of fan voting. The Clemson staff has put together a list of over 300 legendary players throughout the history of Clemson football. It's your job to vote on the top 125 in honor of this year's anniversary. In addition to this, you can vote for the top 10 games in Clemson history. To participate, head on over to clemsontigers.com/125 season. All right, let's look at the scoreboard now. We'll go around the ACC. Some interesting ball games today. Georgia Tech, this one was last night, 46-27 over Louisville, kind of an upset there. Another upset earlier today, NC State 38, Virginia 21. North Carolina took care of Virginia Tech, a top 20 matchup there. That final was 56-45. Duke gets in the win column. Chase Bryce, congratulations. 38-24 over Syracuse. And then late in the fourth quarter, the ball game, actually it's going into overtime. We're giving you up to the second information. Pitt is tied with Boston College at 24. So Pitt, I think, was kind of favored to win that one. So that one's going into overtime. There's been a lot of overtime games today. There have been a lot of upsets today. Florida State taking on Notre Dame. That one just about to kick off at 7:30. Florida State's got their work cut out for them today.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yeah. I'm not obviously putting my money on Florida State for that one. I think, Notre Dame's going to walk away with that for sure. We're taking a look here. You're seeing our band as they are gearing up for tonight's top 10 matchup, the Clemson Tigers versus the Miami Hurricanes. No question that these guys out on the hill are going to play a big role in making sure the crowd is pumped up all night long for what will for sure be an exciting game of football.
Yeah, kickoff expected to be about 10 minutes away as we're about to have the entrance video for you here in just a minute or two. As this is the best pregame in the country. What's going to go down in the next 8 to 10 minutes is the best pregame anywhere in the country. That's one of the main reasons why we're doing Death Valley Live. For all you folks that can't be here, either for COVID-related concerns, maybe you took a red shirt this season for whatever reasons, we're going to be bringing you this for every home game. We want you to be a part of everything going on in pregame, from being able to see the players, the Walk of Champions, but it's the next 10 minutes, Daja. Man, it gets me going every time. It's perfection.
And share this. This is the Clemson family. We want you to make sure that you are sharing this broadcast with your friends and family. Make sure that they tune in as well, because again, we know that there are only 19,000 of the Clemson family here at each football game. So there are thousands of you across the country, and we are doing this for you. So if you're watching and tuning in with us right now, make sure that you tag someone in the comments section, or share this on your page so that we can get more Clemson family involved in Death Death Valley Live.
And again, you can hashtag Death Valley Live on Twitter and on social media for a chance to win an autographed Nike football, which is an unbelievable prize, and it's hanging out there. And again, we're getting closer and closer to kickoff here. And again, the best pregame in the country anywhere. We're very excited to be able to bring it to you here on Death Valley Live. So we're going to send it back over to Death Valley. It is now time for the entrance video. Love this thing.
If you are lucky enough to ever witness this, you will not forget it. Perhaps the grandest entrance in sports.
You've earned the right to wear the jersey. You've earned the right to put the helmet on, adorned by the paw. This is the culmination of preparation. And the only way you get to touch that rock is you have to earn it.
And this is their destination. This rock that was brought from Death Valley, California, placed atop that hill by Coach Frank.
To get off the bus, enter Death Valley, and to approach this rock, it's emotional. The intensity of the moment is very real.
Boys, definitely as each player touches Howard's rock for good luck.
Touched by the Tigers for exactly 50 years. The Tigers are at the rock. About the most exciting 25 seconds in college football. Most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Is not going to give 110% to keep their filthy hands off my rock.
Absolutely never gets old watching that. You're looking at the Tiger and the Tiger Cub there on the hill. The players have loaded the buses. You're taking a live look right now thanks to our Coca-Cola bus cam. They are about to make their way around to the hill to get ready to get this game rolling tonight. There they are right there, geared up. I can only imagine what it's like on those buses as they roll around to get ready to step out at the top of the hill.
I'm sure there's some hyped up players. I'm sure there's some calm players as well as we're getting much closer to kickoff. 19,000 fans inside Death Valley on their feet. What a matchup it's going to be tonight between the top-ranked Tigers and the number 7 ranked Miami Hurricanes.
This is a really cool thing right here. You
It
know,
is.
thanks to Coca-Cola, we're able to provide all of you at home, this look right here as you're watching these players as they're heading around on these buses to step out at the hill. You can hear the crowd in the background as they are pulling up right now to get ready for what will be an exciting game of football.
Buses have almost arrived at the top of the hill. Just about game time. Greatest pregame in the country. Most exciting 25 seconds in college football coming up. You're going to see Dabo bursting through those gates here in just a second, ready to lead his team in a top 10 matchup here in Death Valley. Let's go.
There he is. There at the top of the hill, right before we're about to play what will be an exciting game. Top-ranked Clemson Tigers will take on the Miami Hurricanes here at home in Death Valley. It's about to turn up, no question.
Really is. Top 10 matchup. There have been a lot of upsets today. Tigers hoping to stay out of that column. We had LSU go down earlier today. We had Florida go down earlier today. Auburn is in a dogfight right now with Arkansas late in their games. There's been a lot of strange results today, but Daja, I get the feeling the Tigers are going to take care of business.
Yeah, look at them. That's the kind of energy I like to see when you just know when you're a competitor and when it's time to compete, you're ready to compete. And it looks like Coach Sweeney has these boys absolutely ready to go, and they're ready to compete tonight. Any moment now, there it is. The cannon has gone off. They are taking the hill, ready to head into what will be an exciting football game.
Tigers going to make their way.
I just love it every time.
Pumping those arms.
I mean, he's in full track mode when he comes off of that
it's
hill.
like Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, pumping those arms for the cameras and looking good. Be careful coming down the hill. It is a little wet. It always makes me nervous on days like this. And you see guys look like they might be taking it a little bit easier than normal. I do not blame them. You don't want to slip. like the Tiger Cub did on game day this morning when sliding right down that hill.
I know. These guys are, they're taking their time, and Coach Sweeney is never going to take his time. It doesn't matter if it's rain, shine, wind. He's going to be 4 flat no matter what.
Just about ready for kickoff. A reminder, folks, we will be back at halftime. We'll have a performance from the band. We'll have highlights from the first half, some stats, and some analysis. So Death Valley Live will be back at halftime. So the second halftime kicks off, please come back over onto social media and hang out with us. So, hey, tune your TV over to ABC or tune your radio to the Clemson Tigers network. For Daja Davidson, Mark Childress here. We'll see you at halftime.